It's September 16th, 2024, and this is the Watson Weekly, your essential e-commerce digest. Today on our show, what's going on with Bolt? Walmart and StockX partner up. Bankrate holiday consumer survey results. And creating the perfect board presentation. And finally, the Investor Minute, which contains 5 items this week from the world of venture capital, acquisitions, and IPOs. But first, in our shopping cart full of news, what's going on with Bolt? E-commerce software provider Bolt's CEO has made moves from founder mode into grift mode. Not all founders are ethical, and I think that's a case in point here. It's one thing to attract a new investor who is willing to put money into the company when it's about to go out of business. That new investor will often cram down existing investors because, well, the last money in is often the first money out in a term called liquidation preferences. If this is truly the lender of last resort, the cap table and ownership scale structure can be reset as well. But what's going on with Bolt is far beyond normal. Even on a business level, we're not creating a new checkout and identity network any longer. The company says it's going to become a super app because why the hell not? It's house money at this point. First, how do you raise $250 million in marketing credits? Why not $1 billion? The value is completely unspecified. This kind of sets the tone for the whole thing. Second, Bolt's new investor thinks that Bolt is bigger than Stripe? Well, I guess there's a sucker born every minute, but we're going to maybe find out this new investor in the future is actually on the take from Ryan Breslow. Just wait. Third, $28 million in revenue, which you have to bet is rapidly declining on any valuation greater than $250 million for this company is nonsense. I thought also they signed Fanatics in the past, but I went to the Fanatics checkout and no Bolt. It's PayPal. Likely this is not an accident. As a result, I severely question that $28 million number. But this is not even the worst of it. For all this, Breslow wants a $2 million salary and a $1 million bonus for coming back. Well, I want a pink unicorn, and that doesn't make any sense either. He wants a stock kicker if he can increase the ridiculous valuation even more. And he wants to increase the grift by partnering with some of his other companies like Love.com. All told, this is a Ferris wheel of circus clowns and nonsense, but at least in this crazy world, we can get some entertainment out of it. Almost sadly, which is the irony, our entertainment will be short-lived because this deal is never going to close. And if it did, the number of lawsuits from existing investors would pile up to the sky. Our second story, Walmart and StockX partner up. Last week, StockX and Walmart announced a new distribution partnership where StockX's pre-vetted merchandise appears on Walmart's marketplace. It sounds a little like desperation on StockX's part. Did Manish from Walmart take StockX to the cleaners? Is Manish at Walmart trying to recreate the Mark Lurie empire at Walmart except with third-party brands? Does Walmart envision a world where their assortment matches Amazon? Perhaps all these things can be true at the same time, but my bet is clear. It was not Walmart that approached StockX. It was more likely the other way around. StockX seems in trouble, and it seems to me that the final shoe has not yet dropped on it. eBay seems content to play the long game or the tortoise, but either way, the effect is clear. Wait out the demise of StockX. Our third story, Bankrate holiday consumer survey results. It looks like the trade down and cheap out trend is not dissipating this holiday season. Does that mean the Grinch is ahead? Here's the punchline from Bankrate. Only 1 in 4 consumers plan to spend more this holiday year, while 1/3 of consumers plan to spend less. Now, you have to take all these self-reported surveys with a grain of salt. It's like asking who ate the donut at the party. No one will take credit for it, but the donut is gone just the same. That said, what's interesting in that Gen Z and millennials top the list of generations looking to spend more. In particular, 40% of Gen Z expect to spend more this year than last year, and that's compared to only 15% of baby boomers expecting to spend more. Finally, one last item. When will consumers begin holiday shopping? Almost half said before Halloween. Better get those specials out early this year. For consumers, it makes sense to shop as early as possible, right? That's how you get the best deals. And our last story, creating the perfect board presentation. It seems to me that it's board presentation season across my client base, and so I thought I would take a moment to outline a few items that I use every time. First, consider the true audience. You are not presenting to the entire board. You are usually presenting to one person and at most two people. If you don't know who your most important person in the room is, look first at the first money in, likely they're very influential, or the biggest last money in, which generally has the highest liquidation preferences. But let's call them types. In general, these types of people are called the visionary and the accountant. As a CEO, the visionary was likely your first investor and still supports you through the ups and downs. The accountant just wants to see the returns. Don't bore me with the operating. If the operating works, it will show up as cash flows. Second, make sure in your board presentation, your big headline and first slide is your business case up front in one slide. Don't bury the lead. Nick Kaplan said I could have been a journalist. Here are my 3 rules for the first slide. First, make it clear your year 1 capital and resource asks. Don't forget new hires in this number. That should be a table. Your revenue potential or TAM in a 3-year graph, your operating income or cash flows in a 3-year graph, and finally, make your headline the reason it's a burning need to do this. If it sounds like something that's nice to have, it will become something that is a never will happen. Your goal is to have your visionary say on the first slide that this doesn't sound like that huge of ask, and for your accountant friend to lean in and look forward to more details. 3, make sure you explain the customer experience. Even if your board is not experts on what you're presenting about, most people can imagine what the consumer will do. At least one slide on the consumer journey is useful. A pretty screenshot and some simple boxes and arrows, flow diagrams will work. Inspire someone. 4th is a timeline. Most people know the risks are made up or overly optimistic, but the timeline they will remember. Try to make it as accurate as you can. 5, include a pro forma over 3 years and make sure to include gross revenue, net revenue, contribution, and operating income. Next is organization. What people and investment commitments will need to make this happen, and the roles and how do they fit into the current org, or are you building a new org? Next is change management. How will you get the organization from here to there? Who will be in charge of ensuring this happens, and what are the risks? Does it require new ways of working? What are the top risks to this happening, and how are you dealing with it? I like to focus on values and process changes here too. Often people just assume a little money and more of the same will make it happen. If it requires a shift in thinking, that must be captured here as well. If it does require a shift in thinking, it better have a dedicated leader or team. Next is technology. What new technologies are you putting in and why? These are just a few of the top items that I think about when making a board presentation, and your goal is always to completely sell your best supporter in the very first slide. It's that time, friends, for our Investor Minute. We have 5 items on the menu today. First, Permira raises takeover offer for Squarespace to $7.2 billion. Global investment firm Permira will offer $46.50 per share in cash to acquire and take Squarespace private for $7.2 billion. Squarespace has only lost 6.4% in stock price since listing in 2021. Why is this company being targeted by a buyout firm? Compared to other public companies that have shed more value since their IPOs, it makes no sense. Second, Backcountry acquired by CSC Generation Enterprise. Private equity firm CSC Generation Enterprise has acquired Backcountry and its family of brands, such as Motorsport, Competitive Cyclists, and Steep and Cheap for an undisclosed amount. An outdoor company facing the squeeze of e-commerce sold to a roll-up company that acquires distressed retailers? What could go wrong? Third, OpenAI in talks for funding valuing it above $100 billion. OpenAI is in talks with investors to raise several billion dollars in a funding round that will value the company over $100 billion. Welcome to 2024, where AI startups are raising billions and investors are desperate not to miss the next big thing. And finally, Avenue 7 Media acquires Walmart-focused agency Ecom Creative Team. E-commerce agency Avenue 7 Media has acquired Ecom Creative Team for an undisclosed amount to offer marketplace seller solutions for Amazon and Walmart. Are we seeing the beginning of the consolidation in the agency sector focusing on marketplaces? Kind of feels like it. And today's word of the week this week is school, as in back to school. For those with kids headed back to school this week, my heart is out to you. If this is what it means to be trading down your purchases, your pocketbook sure doesn't feel like it, doesn't it? And did you know RMW Commerce is a brand new podcast? Check out the Watson Weekend for an unfiltered and lively e-commerce chat each week with me, Rick Watson, my co-host Jess Lasetsky, and an array of interesting guests and topics, all focused on e-commerce. You can find the Watson Weekend by searching for it on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. That's all for this week. Till next time, Watsonians. Hi, I'm Rick Watson, CEO and founder of RMW Commerce Consulting and host of the Watson Weekly Podcast, your essential e-commerce digest. Our production partner for the series is Citizen Racecar. The show is produced by Jose Baez. Production manager, Gabriela Montequin. To hear new episodes of the show every Monday morning, subscribe now at rmwcommerce.com/WatsonWeekly and wherever you get your podcasts.